So you were really young when you first joined the Raptors. You're still deceptively young because you look still.
You older than me?
25.
You younger than me?
Are you guys the same age?
You're not 40 yet, right?
I'm 40.
Oh, you 84?
84.
40 boys.
See, that's what I'm saying. Deceptively young because they don't look the same age. Without
Bobby? It's fine.
So sorry, Alex, man.
Anything for content.
Anything for
Yo,
content,
Jerome,
man.
clip that right now.
We're still gonna be friends after this. First off, give it up for Bobby Webster, architect of the Toronto Raptors. This man brought us a championship ring, okay? It was him that hit the big shot at the end in Game 6, not Pascal. All right. Seriously, thank you, Bobby, for giving us the time here. Thank you to Holt Renfrew, obviously, for hosting us. Thank you to all of you guys for coming out. This is it's really great to see everybody together. And we're just going to have a nice little chat here about basketball. You know, we'll give you guys a chance to ask some questions later, too. So if you guys want to ask Bobby about, some trade rumors, you guys can do it so that we don't jeopardize our relationship. But more than anything else, we actually wanted to use this opportunity to get to Bobby, to get to know Bobby, because this guy's, you got a little mysteriousness to you.
Yo, world's most interesting man type vibe, bro.
Yeah, we're just buttering you up for the first 10 minutes, and then we'll get to the hard questions.
I see this.
We're going off script. I hope you know that.
Yeah, we actually just ignored this, man. Don't worry.
Yeah. Yo, why are you so nervous?
Done this with you guys before. We're good.
We've done
Have
this.
you?
We've done this.
Did we do one? We did like one at the club. Remember?
Yeah. If you want to talk about what happens in the club with us, we're very open to discussing.
No, that was a really fun event. We raised money for the Iolani school back in your home, and that was super cool. But I remember one of the first times I met you, I think it was in the summer, and there was a lot of trade rumors going on with Kevin Durant at the time, and I tried to chase you down at the former Ryerson because I wanted to see your phone. Do you think I can see your phone today?
I believe there was a cash offer last time.
I think I offered you like $50. Yeah.
I said, yeah, that's right. And I said not for 50.
I'm doing a little better now, so I'll offer you $250.
Wow.
It's still not enough.
Okay, that's cool, man. All right, let's get back on script, bro.
The first question you wanted me to ask was, is this the best that you've seen us dressed?
You've seen us in like some terrible clothes. Yeah.
I mean, you guys definitely been improving. I told Alex he's got sort of like the talk show host vibe, so I like that.
That was not what I was going for.
Oh.
Yeah. I was going for like high-end Holt Renfrew shopper type vibe, yeah, but thanks, yeah.
He's got a rollie on for this.
What about Will here, man? Will's got the Loewe jacket, you know? Oh, man.
Look at this piece right here. Ooh. It's beautiful.
Oh, my God.
That's not Zach Lowe, man. That's Zach Loewe.
Is this what $2,000 feels like? Oh, no.
That's what for
Oh, yeah. No.
Yo, Bob, you're getting outlogged, Bobby. I'm going to tell you, man.
That's crazy.
You drafted Jonathan Mobo. You got Jonathan Mobo right here.
Oh, my God.
Yo, cheers to Will's fit, man. Let's give
I dress like this every day. I dress like this every day.
Will always got nice kicks too. Like he's got the
nice
New
kicks?
Balance.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, I don't know.
The old Asian dad New Balance kicks.
I got ankle problems now.
You're
know?
not good at
Come on,
compliments,
man.
Bobby? Yeah. Damn, bro.
All right, it's our turn to compliment Bobby then. Okay,
let's go.
so for people who want to get to know you, first and foremost, where did your love of basketball come from?
I mean, playing basketball. I think anyone, whatever level you played at. I grew up in Hawaii. I played basketball instead of going to the beach. I was lucky enough to have a group of friends that, after school, we just went and played basketball. And so I think that's the basis for a lot of why I'm here. Obviously, there's a lot of other things when you're part of team sports as a kid growing up. You learn leadership. You learn how to be selfless. So a lot of that's the basis of it. And I tell people even with the Raptors, when practice starts at 11, it feels very much like whatever team that you grew up playing on. Is people have roles. Sometimes people have bad days. Sometimes people get in fights. But like the heart of the NBA, as sort of big as this is, and the NBA Finals, and Shea and Tyrese and all of that, is like the basketball is still pretty pure. And I think that's sort of what keeps me sort of grounded in it. But also sort of that's where the love of it. That's where it comes from.
How real were your hoop dreams? How big were your hoop dreams? Because I think I wish we had a monitor here, but I believe you hit a very famous shot to win a championship back home in Hawaii?
I'm just a has-been now. I had a pretty good high school career, but I wasn't good enough to sort of play in college.
Guys, he hit literally the game-winning three to win the state championship in high school.
Was it an NBA three-point line or?
No, Hawaii high school line, probably like 15 feet.
Sorry, I'm just here to troll today.
Yeah. But yeah, how big were your hoop dreams originally? Like when did this
Yeah,
idea
at a certain
come
point.
for you?
Actually, for career-wise, my choice was either go play basketball at a really small college, or sort of start my career. And I always tell people I wouldn't be in this position probably if I actually continued to play basketball. I probably would have been on the bench in college. Maybe I could have played somewhere overseas, but really what it allowed me to do is go to college. I studied economics in school, and just sort of really get my career going for me. I think oftentimes you see people when they play, that transition from playing to being, sort of a career, it takes a while. And so for me, like, I stopped playing when I was 18, 19, and I really started to study, go to school, work hard, and that's where it led me here.
What is this? I actually don't know this. You were close to joining the CIA?
I think there was a profile written about me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did apply. So before I was in basketball, I wanted to do politics. And I was living in D.C., and it just so happened my roommate at the time was getting free tickets to Wizards games, and it was like Hibachi Arenas and that team. Ooh. So we would go to all these free games, and I was like, man, how do you get free tickets to basketball games? And he was like,
Still trying to figure that out, bro.
I know. And
that's why he works media, to be honest. Let's be real.
actually, my roommate worked for Comcast. He was in media.
Okay.
And so that kind of like kicked it off. I think growing up in Hawaii and playing basketball, you're like, either I can play basketball or I could coach basketball. I didn't know this whole world existed. I didn't know broadcast. I didn't know front office. I didn't know scouting. And really just my roommate, and he was like, dude, you can work in sports. And I was going to do politics, and I just, on a whim, applied for a job online, and I got it with the Orlando Magic. But really, yeah, it was, so I was in D.C., yes. Okay, back to the question. We're off topic. So I was really into politics. I was into international politics. I want to do sort of maybe diplomacy. And actually applied. I applied for a job at the CIA. And then my basketball career took me, and I sort of never went back to it.
So you didn't do like any interviews or anything?
I don't think they ever called me.
I don't think
I'm allowed to even say if I did interview.
I think interviews with the CIA is like as secret as it gets, to be honest. But
Yeah, like you could be a double agent right now. We wouldn't even know.
this would be a great
I
cover.
always say
you know?
this is a great cover for CIA.
Like championship
Travel the
winning,
world.
like
You could travel the
basketball
world, like go anywhere in the world, watch basketball.
You're scouting, you know. Yeah, damn. Okay. Interesting career choices. I also studied economics. I did not get that far with the NBA or the CIA, but we got a little closer to that.
Are you looking at this rundown upside down?
Well, you know, I just sometimes like to refer to it. So for people who don't know you as well, you're a big foodie. You're a really big foodie. I feel like our conversations always circle back to this.
So the thing people need to know is like, you know, whenever we travel, like Summer League, like Vegas, LA, like
Yeah.
I think you always hit up Bobby for like food recommendations.
I'm just trying to start any conversation with Bobby, and then maybe circle back to like who we're gonna trade
But
for.
Bobby always knows the food spots. Yeah, right?
Yeah,
Like, Bobby's the guy.
last time Vegas was what? Did you guys hit Best Friend? Best Friend's like a cool Korean
actually
spot.
did.
That
Yeah,
one's
we
really
did.
good.
Latai?
Latai's bomb.
Yeah, yeah.
I think Toronto has a great food. Like last night, we went out and tasted a little Italy. You know, we hit what's the one? Bar Reval. We hit Danny's Pizza Tavern. So like, you know, just all the Toronto classics. You know, and I think it's fun. It's fun to explore. I think it's one of the best international food cities for sure that we get to travel to, and even the other NBA teams and the players when they come here, like they all have their Italian, Thai, sushi. Like there's everything here. So.
Is it like a Kawhi and Dine situation for you? Does that?
Yeah, you like get recognized and they're like,
Does trading for
yo,
Kawhi?
thanks for single-handedly bringing us the championship, bro.
They recognize you, but that's about. They don't pay for your
okay.
food. Oh, what up, Bobby?
Damn, I got to teach you a few things then, I guess.
I was gonna say
So do you ever give like food recommendations to the players and stuff? Like you guys talk about that stuff? Like they're coming into Toronto for the first time.
You know, but when you were 18 and 19, you don't want the fancy stuff. Actually, the one story we had was we usually take the draft kids out, and so when we were recruiting Grady Dick, we actually come to what's Matheson's spot? Prime Seafood.
Oh yeah, Prime Seafood Palace.
And I thought it was gonna be a little like eclectic for his taste, and he was down. So like you can kind of use food in sometimes with the players to see sort of how open they are to trying new things. And I was like, Grady was like, nah, this is like he was down to try everything. So
this is a question that just popped up. But how How much analyzing goes into these players? Because obviously we know that like this is like you're one of 30 GMs. You know everything about everybody. But even small things like this in terms of like how they might react to sort of different situations, like because I feel like you're just watching them all the time, man. That's your job.
It is. It's a huge amount of observation.
Because he's a CIA
I think that's why the CIA thing. There's a lot. There actually are parallels, and I think about like why I was interested in that, and then why I'm interested in this. You know, it's like a lot of evaluation from afar. So for those of you who don't know, like we get to watch these kids play basketball since they're 16, 17, but we never get to talk to them. And so what Will's sort of alluding to is we bring these kids up to Toronto for like 2 days, and we kind of get to like put them through the ringer. So we go to dinner with them, we'll meet our psychologists, they'll meet our coaches, the doctors will look at them, and yeah, it's just a huge evaluation.
Yeah.
And in some cases they're prepped because their agents prepare them, but in a lot of ways, like you can't have your guard up for 48 hours. And so I think it's interesting where in those moments you get to see like sometimes they'll show you attitude, or sometimes maybe an intern's driving them around and they're like just, complete asshole to them. And so I think there's a bit of that where you're sort of always on and we're always evaluating you. It's tough because I think, no one wants to sort of feel like you're under that microscope, but I think with the money involved and sort of, what's at stake and how competitive the NBA is, so we're looking for every advantage we can get.
Right. That makes sense. That's also a little bit freaky, but I get it. So we'll talk Raptors in a sec too, but I think for you in particular, how did your time with the Raptors get started? Because you've been here 12 years now, 12 years and counting. Hopefully you never leave. But more than anything else, like, tell me about this journey. How did Masai recruit you? I think Masai always talks about how like you were really hard to negotiate with, which I think probably helps in the hiring of a GM. Yeah.
I didn't know Masai. I was at the league office. I worked for David Stern, who was the old commissioner. Masai approached me in 2010 when he took the job in Denver. Sort of didn't work out at the time. We kept in touch. It was like a great intro. So the next 3 years, I see him on the road. We keep in touch. And then when he got the job in Toronto, he called. And interestingly enough, everyone I asked, I'm an ignorant American. I didn't even know where Toronto was on the map, and I lived in New York, But everyone I asked was like, incredible city, incredible ownership, like every opportunity. If you think back to the Raptors in 2013, we hadn't won much, right? Huge amount of following, huge amount of sort of exposure because of the Raptors and Vince, so people knew about Toronto. And I think that was the biggest appeal, which was not just as a franchise, but as a city, sort of to put our mark on the sort of map. And I think really when we first came out with the We the North campaign, like it hit on all of those sort of notes of sort of outsider, sort of don't belong here, supposed to be a hockey city, you're in Canada, it's too cold. So all of those things I think it really touched on. And we didn't know what we were doing. I think that first year we make the playoffs and, we probably felt like we won the championship when we lost Game 7 to Brooklyn, man. Right? But
why was Paul Pierce in the lane? What's he doing there, man? Kyle had just split the double. Anyway, yeah. So I remember that.
So
I remember that play very vividly.
I think, I've been here since 2013. I have a family here. Like, it feels like home now. But I think even seeing Toronto blossom over the past 12 years has sort of been incredible as the sort of rise of the Raptors happened.
So you were really young when you first joined the Raptors. You're still deceptively young because you look still.
You older than me?
25.
You younger than me?
Are you guys the same age?
You're not 40 yet, right?
I'm 40.
Oh, you 84?
84.
40 boys.
See, that's what I'm saying. Deceptively young because they don't look the same age. Without
Bobby? It's fine.
So sorry, Alex, man.
Anything for content.
Anything for
Yo,
content,
Joel,
man.
clip that right now.
We're still gonna be friends after this.
Bobby, you do look like 33 or something.
I appreciate it.
I'm not
Thank
trying
you.
to glaze you or anything.
It's the Asian side.
Asian genes, yeah.
So you came to the city really young, and I guess you spent a lot of your formative years here. Became a dad here. And I guess I'm curious about your personal journey here in Toronto as well. Like, which sort of neighborhoods have you gotten to really know and sort of really resonate with? And now that you're 40, I'm assuming you're in the suburbs or something. But, yeah.
We live in a house in Cabbagetown now.
Oh, okay, there you go. So walk me through that personal journey as a Torontonian.
I was my first place we lived is on Queen West, kind of like a typical, probably most young kids that moved
you
to
were
the
outside.
city.
You're telling me.
Yeah, walk up and down Ossington, where Trinity Bell was on the weekend, like the same life a lot of people probably sort of live before you get married and have kids. And so that was sort of an intro to Toronto. I think Queen West was like, at the time, was like the coolest street in the world. It's like there was that. And then we went to the East Side, and most people know East Side's like younger families, a little less hectic. You're not really going out, every weekend you're staying in.
Yeah.
But as far as like places I've really enjoyed in Toronto, like I think the food stuff. So, going out to Markham is always fun to get, food.
Wait,
you can go to.
what? You're going to first Markham place like that?
I don't know why I can't picture you uptown.
You're in Markham?
Just take me out of this outfit and then,
Where do you go in Markham?
we went to, what's the famous lobster fisherman house?
Whoa,
The crazy one.
Oh my
Oh, yeah,
God,
yeah,
you got the seafood lobster tower? Oh my
we did
God.
that.
The problem with those like Chinese restaurants is that you can never remember the names too.
Because the wording of the words are always wrong.
Yeah, or it's
you
always
know?
just like called Great Seafood Restaurant or
Yeah.
something. Like it's very direct. Yeah.
Actually, one of my favorite first spots was Patois. Craig's here.
Hey,
Yeah,
was
shout out to
like-
Craig. Round of applause.
I think that's
for
always an
Craig.
example I give people in Toronto. Is like you've never, even coming from New York, like and even Hawaii, you never see that mix. You've never seen sort of the Caribbean Asian fusion, and I think that's something that I always think of Toronto that stands out. Is like they're because of the immigrants and the culture here, you sort of have mixes that you can't really find anywhere else.
Yeah. Okay. That's enough about Bobby Webster. We've gassed you up enough. Now we're gonna open you up for serious questions about the Toronto Raptors.
Oh yeah.
Let me say this: if nobody puts stuff on social, if you wanted to sort of be is this going on social or no?
I mean, it'll be up on Hello and Welcome.
I'm just gonna have to
podcast.
give some stock answers. That's the only problem.
Don't worry. That's what the
Jerome, turn off the TikTok camera, bro.
God damn it! All right,
let's go. We'll
no,
go.
no trade rumors. No, well.
Here,
Okay,
we'll finesse it. Don't
We
worry.
want to know. Okay, so right now, right, the draft is in about 2 weeks. What's like the average day in the life of a GM right now?
So you're sort of focusing when you're your GM, you're focused on your current team and your future team, right? So as much as we're focused on, Ingram's been in town, Jamal Shed, Grady, everyone's been in town working out at OVO. It's funny, we'll have a day where those guys will work out in the morning. We'll have 6 draft picks come in the afternoon, and then maybe we'll have some free agents that evening. So it's like the gym is packed nonstop, but you sort of have those two minds, which is what's your current team look like, and then what's your future team. And so, we always tell the rookies too. It's like Jacoby. It's like you were the shiny new thing last year. You were the rookie. Everybody wanted to talk to you. You were the first round pick. But like we're gonna have another one, and that's the competition. That's sort of the professional business nature of basketball. And so right now it's a lot of draft prep. So drafts in 2 weeks. So we have the number 9 pick. So we'll probably bring in, we probably end up bringing about 60 kids into Toronto. We also have a pick at 39, so sort of looking at 2 sets of guys. You're watching your young guys develop. So Jamal, who I think people sort of notice Shed come on at the end of the year, he sort of has some natural leadership qualities. So he took a bunch of the young guys to Texas last week. They practiced at his high school.
Wow.
So like there's a bit of that going on. There's a bit of chemistry, camaraderie happening in the offseason. And then the number 9 pick, a lottery pick. I think since we've been here, our lottery picks have been Jakob, Scotty, and Grady. So we haven't had a lot of lottery picks, but sort of we understand the importance of getting that pick right can really change the, course of your franchise.
See, right there, for people who missed it, the subtext is they've been a really good team, and that's why they don't draft in the lottery much. And when they do draft in the lottery, they draft players that stick in the league for a long time. So it's a little light flex. I actually wanted to ask, so I'm not asking you to give away your draft secrets, and you wouldn't even do that because you're former CIA, basically. But what are, the Raptors are clearly one of the best at terms of under your management, you and Masai and Dan Tolzman, the whole team. You guys have done really well in the draft. What are some things that you look for, characteristics that really stand out, that you guys really try to index on when you guys bring these guys in?
A couple of things. I think the way we scout, so different teams set up their scouts in sort of different structures. So maybe I don't want to say a Team X, so they may have regional scouts. They may have a scout in Europe, a scout in Florida, a scout in California, and sort of everyone just knows their area really well. I think one thing we do maybe, not uniquely, but I think has helped us is everyone watches everyone. So you may watch you may watch the kids in Europe, you may watch the kids in college, you may watch kids in Australia. And so I think for one, it's like we want everyone to have a perspective on all the players. So everyone can sort of argue about every player. It's not like I'm arguing for my guy or you're arguing for your guy. It's like we've all seen them. I think there was an example of the year Doncic got drafted. It was like he's in Madrid. You have Trae Young in Oklahoma. It'd be like if the European guy never saw Trae and the American guy never saw Luka, it's just hard to have that conversation.
That makes sense.
Right?
Yeah.
And then I think, qualities. I mean, it's whether we intended it to be or not. I think the run with Kyle, DeMar, obviously getting Kawhi and those guys, it was sort of like you had to be a really sort of tough-minded, chip-on-your-shoulder guy. And I think that was something when it was Fred, Pascal, OG, all of them, right? It's sort of like not that you don't believe in them, but sort of they haven't sort of been given everything since they were young.
Right.
And so we're always looking for that. So Jamal Shed kind of fits that, right? He's sort of really, really talented, really winning player, but like not a first round pick, not a lottery pick, but just tough. So I think I always say three things. We're looking for like incredibly hard workers, incredibly high character, and sort of whatever you want to call that mental toughness or edge that we feel like sort of in games like last night when you're watching the finals, it's like you really have to be able to dig deep and win those games.
So you mentioned, I guess you guys all scout as a group. What's the most obscure place you guys have gone to scout? Like, where'd you guys find Bruno, first off? I think Bruno was averaging like 5 points a game or something in Brazil.
I think he was in Brazil. He grew up in the favelas in Sao Paulo, and he was playing in the Brazilian league, yeah.
But then you guys went to see him in person.
Mm-hmm. Usually you get all these little tips, right? Like agents and you'll send stuff. Sometimes you go to crazy places in Europe, especially in Eastern Europe. You'll fly into Belgrade or someplace and you'll drive like 3 hours into the countryside. I think I saw Zubac 3 hours away. There's another kid, not Bosnia. Where did we go? Montenegro. So you find kids. I think that's where Goga was from. Was Montenegro.
Sure.
So it's sort of fun to travel around and watch these kids.
That's why he's not answering my texts. He's driving in Montenegro. They might not have
There's many
service.
reasons why he's not answering your text, bro.
Fair.
About the draft too, I think a lot of people are super interested when like the draft lottery happens, and I was wondering if you could take us just into like even this year when Dallas got like the first pick. I think the talk was like, oh, the Raptors were one number away at the end from getting the first pick and all that.
Can you
like,
confirm?
what's it like in that room and like
I've never been back
room,
there. So everyone sees the lottery on TV. They sort of do the unveiling of the cards and the picks. And so I was in the back where it's sort of like Powerball, and so they have the machine, and everyone has your combinations that you would win, your winning combinations. So.
Is your heart just like racing as you watch?
There's
like the most high stakes gambling ever.
Pick, I was like, you're sort of cognizant of what would happen if you had the number one pick and you got Cooper, right? It's like incredibly like, okay, it's franchise changing. So there was a moment where I like take some deep breaths. I was like, Bobby, are you doing okay?
That's what I mean.
Interesting enough, so we had the first three numbers, and the last number that would have gotten us Cooper was 4. And that's like Scotty, and there's like some other, and then it was like 7. So we were one number away. But I feel like everyone says they're one number away, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I say at the blackjack table too, bro.
Right?
It's like the exact
22, 21.
This guy's also hoping for a 4 at the blackjack
I'll be
table.
splitting aces all the time. How are the Ernst and Young
17.
people? Do you get to meet the Ernst and Young people who audit the lottery?
He used to be at EY.
Oh, is that why?
Yeah, it's a business. This is a business chat. We're a Holt Renfrew.
Yeah,
He used to dress like this every day.
It's like a very serious guy that sits up in his suit and he claims that it's, I'm overseeing the whole process, and he said each ping pong ball has been weighted and it's like everyone said the exact ounce, and even the ping pong the ping pong balls.
Yo, don't get fined.
Why are you doing that, man?
The ping pong balls are even like they're like in a locked case. They have to open them up and drop them in.
Yeah. They should go back to the envelope.
They should televise this, more transparency for the league. Anyway, that's probably enough for the draft. I mean, unless you're going to tell us, who you picked. And
who's your guy?
Who's our guy right now, Bob?
Who's your
Come
guy
on.
you're arguing
We don't
for?
know yet. I'd say right now, I can give you. We probably have it down to like 5 people right now.
Oh, report that right now.
Jerome, tweet that up.
Someone in the crowd's reporting that right now. Someone in the crowd.
I mean, people think it's not like there's 20 people. At this point, we sort of narrowed it down. The hard part is you don't know who's going to go in front of you, so you don't actually know who's going to be there.
Yeah, because 9 is like a weird spot because you don't know.
And even last year, Jacoby at 19, like he kept falling. Everyone had him in the lottery, so you have to sort of do your homework. If anyone in the top 8 falls, and then maybe it was unexpected to you. But then it's also like this race, because when they're falling in the moment, everybody's like, oh, what happened? Did they have an injury? Or like, is there some information that we didn't know? So then there's like a rush to get the information.
Yo, let's talk some Raptors history, man.
Okay, sure.
Kyle Lowry was just here.
I know the GOAT was here, man. That was crazy.
We're not even kidding, guys.
Literally, yeah, Kyle, I don't know. He's probably running around here somewhere.
I tried my very best to convince Kyle to do this interview instead of Bobby. And right now we'll scrub this. And we'll just
What about Asian Mafia, man?
it's the GOAT. It's the greatest Raptor.
How quickly we forget.
It's the greatest Raptor of all time.
Asians love to betray Asians, so you know that. I don't know why I said that, as
goodness.
if there's history.
Who said that?
I don't know, man. So yesterday was a 6-year anniversary.
That's right.
Of Game 6. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, it was.
It's crazy. Yeah. Great timing. Can you give us Do you have a Kyle Lowry story that you can tell us that really sticks with you?
Give us a story Kyle wouldn't want you to tell.
Yeah, pretend he's not right behind
okay.
the screen. Yeah.
Okay, there's obviously, this is deep Raptor fans here. So 1 year in Tampa, you guys remember Freddie Gillespie, big man?
Yeah, 55.
Right?
55.
Okay, so he kind of was like a 10-day guy, hadn't made any money, out of college, G League. So he used to always wear these old beat-up Air Force Ones, right? And everyone's like always like teasing whatever. And one day he comes in and he's got these like Balenciagas.
Oh, wow.
Right?
He went
And
to Holt
so-
Renfrew?
Exactly. I was like, oh. So
Plug.
On 3, baby.
So everybody's like, damn, Freddie. And he like kind of playing it off. He doesn't really say anything. Oh, where'd you get them? And he didn't know. So come to find out, Kyle had bought shoes for him and put them in his locker, but didn't say anything. And so Freddie, being the rookie, he didn't want to ask. He was just like, I got these cool shoes. And I always think like, you see Kyle and you see sort of like the crazy emotion when he plays, but like he's super thoughtful and like he would want to do that and like not have people know, because I think that like meant a lot to him. So
Damn. So when it comes to leadership like this, like I guess no one really teaches them that, right? Like that's the thing when it's like when you guys need vets in the locker room, when you guys need like when people talk about team culture, sometimes it comes down to just one or two guys who have been around a long time and they just know how to like take care of people in that way. And
well, there's that, but then I remember what assistant coach told me, because this last team, you know, we had Garrett Temple, and he's like, Garrett just leads in a different way. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, he goes, the way Kyle would lead, he's like, if we were bullshitting around and we played like a bad first half, he's like, Kyle's coming in at halftime to fight you. You know what I mean? Like you're playing the second half because you don't want like him coming after you.
Sure.
Whereas like Garrett's sort of elder statesman, really thoughtful, will talk to everybody about it. So you sort of see it in different ways.
Interesting. You know what? That's why we need vets in the locker room, man. Let's bring Kyle back. You know, he's right
Is
here.
he?
Let's bring Kyle back for a year.
Bro,
You think he'll
can't
come
talk
back?
about that stuff, bro.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, yo, ask him all the Kawhi stuff.
Yeah, the Kawhi trade. You know you're gonna be asked about the Kawhi trade for like the rest of your life. You know what I mean? Like this is like
That's your masterpiece, bro.
that's one of the masterpieces. Okay,
But that's your Picasso, bro.
There's more on the way. But so as the story goes, you guys obviously are in the hunt. Kawhi was available for like a year, and you know the situation with San Antonio was kind of crumbling a little bit, and you know it just so happened that you were really good friends with the San Antonio GM, and you know I guess. There's probably been some stuff reported, but can you tell us, like, I guess the scope and the timeline of how that all came together, and maybe that moment where it was like, you know what, it's real, like it's going to be Toronto, and you guys see the opportunity where you can take the team that was already really good, but flip it into an instant contender.
So you take back to those teams, right? 17, 18. I think we made the conference finals one year.
Yep.
We lost in the second round.
Twice.
Twice. The LeBron 1-footer, wrong foot off the glass in Cleveland.
What was your reaction to that, by the way?
I think you can see me. There's like, if you ever,
Really?
because I walk down the aisle,
Oh man.
okay, and I look up, like right behind our bench, and I'm watching him come, and he hits it, and I think you can just see me go like this, and I just walk into the tunnel.
Yo, no disrespect to the city of Cleveland too, because like I was there covering that. There was not much to do there.
No.
I just went to the Jack's Casino after downtown.
I sense a theme here with you.
There's another question about casinos coming up too, actually. But
Okay, so Kawhi, a couple
Kawhi,
good
yes.
Kawhi ones were, so a good story is that first job I took after DC, I was 21, I was an intern with the Orlando Magic, and Brian Wright also happened to be an intern. And so at the time, you know, fast forward 15 years, and me and Brian Wright are doing the Kawhi deal. So I think it's sort of one of those serendipitous, but also like, I always tell people, young people, when you're coming up, is like, hang with your crew. Like, stop trying to get the attention of everyone who's older than you and the elder ones, because like, you and your crew are going to be the ones that like sort of rise in power and become, and sort of like, don't always sort of seek the approval of everyone above you. Like, create your little group and go. Anyway, so I thought that was sort of good with Brian. Is like, there's a long history of trust. So I think the deal happened like July 17th, but I always think back, we were in Vegas for a draft workout, and Brian was there, and I was kind of sitting back, like standing back off the court, and Brian kind of does this like a little moonwalk to me, you know, he like kind of like, and he's like, hey, Kawhi, you know, like, hey, are you guys interested? And I remember like that was the first thing where like he sort of approached us, you know, and you always want that sort of negotiating wise to be like, okay, like he knows something on our team that he wants, and sort of for him to come. And I was like, okay, so like I remember that being in May, where I was like, okay, they're interested, right? And then obviously you have to figure out who they're interested in, and there's so many permutations of it. Obviously DeMar was the big piece, but at the time we had Jakob, we had Pascal, we had OG. Like there's a lot of other pieces involved. So say from middle of May to the middle of July. So that's like 2 months of really sort of talking, behind the scenes. And then fast forward to Summer League in July, and Brian grabs me at Summer League. And I think it was one of those where you said, like, you don't know how close you are in the negotiations. And I think he put it to me, Brian was like, I was like, is this real? Like, are you guys really considering this? And he's like, Bob, he's like, the deal's at like the 2-yard line. I'm like, oh. I'm like, oh.
Oh.
I'm like, oh, we're like there. He goes, yeah, like we just like, I was like, okay. So then you kind of get that sense too.
So what's the immediate reaction? Are you just like, all right, and then you're immediately...
No, you got to play it cool.
You got to play it cool, but it's like a crazy game of poker you guys are playing, basically.
And then the big one for him too was the medical. So I remember, when you do trades in the NBA, sometimes you see it publicly where the trade will come out, or even in football, and then they'll rescind the trade because they'll say he didn't pass the physical. So you don't want that in this case, right? You don't want DeMar or your player on your team to come out and then he has to come back. I think you saw it this year with one of the deals. So they release you all the medical information. And so I call our docs and I'm like, hey, we have all the information on Kawhi. I literally was like, take as long as you need. Like, this is not tomorrow. This is not like however long you guys need to get comfortable with sort of his medicals, the assessment. You think he can go going forward? I think maybe it took them 36, 48 hours. And so we're just kind of hanging out. And I remember that call was like the huge call with our medical team. It was like, basically, how do you guys feel about it? And so, obviously we had some background information too. We had some people in San Antonio who were like, I think at that point the relationship had fractured. And so they were like, he's fine. Obviously he has some things to deal with, but he can play. So,
man, I don't think that story's been told anywhere else, man.
Yo, Jerome.
Yeah,
post that right now.
TikTok camera right now. Hold on, I got more questions about this.
Yo.
There's an infamous photo. So when that trade, because
the hostage photo,
the reporting around it was like, he may not show up, or like did he clearly want to go to LA? Did he want to go to Toronto?
It was all Chris Haynes, man.
Yeah. Let's leave names out of it, but absolutely. And so it didn't feel real until a photo emerged with you, Masai, and then Kawhi in the middle. And I'm not saying it looked like a hostage photo, but
it's as hostage as this right now, man.
Honestly, we could recreate it right now, But
yeah,
what was his initial reaction? Like once you guys got to talk to him and get a sense of like,
he's such a talkative guy too.
He's sort of like, okay.
I'm thinking it back with you guys. So we knew who he was coming, but there was this whole narrative of he's not going to show up, right? So I used to work at the league, and so I kind of know. I was like, Masai kept asking me, I'm like, he's coming because like there's 20 million. Like if he doesn't come, like he's just not going to get paid, right? And like there's some of that. Like maybe he'd be a holdout. I think you see it in other sports. I was just like, the NBA is not really that much of a holdout sport. It's just not sort of culturally what they do. So, but at the same time, I was like, okay, we hadn't really talked to him. I spoke to him on the phone once, but I had to speak to him on the phone through Uncle Dennis's phone. Like I didn't even have his number. It was like call Uncle Dennis if you want to talk to Kawhi.
That's what I say. You got to call Alex to get to me. So
similar type. Similar.
It's actually true. I'm not kidding.
Okay, so we're in there. We meet with him, and we're showing him the facility. This is at OVO, and you can kind of see him. Like, okay, I kind of see what's going on. And I think there was a moment. I don't know who either me or Masai asked, and we were like, "Hey, let's grab a photo." And it was one of those like, especially with Kawhi, where you're like. And he kind of like smiled, and that's when he like put his arms. And I think we're like, okay, we're good. It was
wow. Because he had like a half smile. It was kind of like
but he gave a bigger smile when we asked.
Oh, okay, all right. I mean, hey, it all worked out. Like we're gonna talk about this trade forever, basically, because that 2019 team, and I think, especially here in Toronto, I don't know if enough people tell you this because you weren't here in Toronto beforehand, but like. People did not have this level of expectation about the Raptors before, Like when you guys won, for the first season you guys took over, you guys won 48 games in 2014. Like that was a championship. Like a smaller one, but like, and then when you guys won 50 games, it was like, that's another championship. When you won number 1 in the East, that's another championship. And like, even until the point where you're in Golden State and there's like that absurdly long review at the end there, because the Raps were up 4 and it was like 0.9 seconds left, the game's over, but they had the review. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, holy, like this has actually come real. Like this is why there's so much affection for all of us in the city for this team, but especially for this group that you guys put together. Because, like, just to put into context, that is something we'll always talk about. And hopefully it's not the only championship we ever talk about. but it kind of opened our eyes to like what's actually possible, and that's why we're also that's why people are here. Honestly, most people aren't going to come for a live show. We're not going to sell out a live show for a GM somewhere else.
It was free.
Okay,
They still showed up. Come on.
time is money, my friend.
Money is money.
Okay, fair. But seriously,
But thank you, Bobby.
thank you.
Really-
That's you know.
Why do we rate? Here, round of applause.
Another applause for Bobby.
It's not over yet, Bobby. I'm
It's
checking.
just as memorable for me, and I like coming in 13, and I don't know I wasn't here for the history, but like
Yeah.
I said, like the rise of the Raptors, rise of Toronto, like it's all to me is like it's kind of crazy. One day they'll hopefully make a movie about it. So
Yeah, if you need someone to write a book for you, this Alex actually is a Amazon best-selling author. New
Well,
York
I
Times
once
best-selling-
went up to Masai and I was like, "Yo, Masai, let me write your book." And he
He's
just
very
laughed.
direct with his
I like
request.
it, I like
too.
it, I like
He's like, he laughed at me. He's like, "Yo, books make no money." Yeah. He just walked away.
Was he right?
Honestly, he had a point. I was kind of clout chasing.
but you wrote a book.
Yeah, I'm a successful dude.
Yeah, yeah.
We're the same. We're both successful 40-year-old Asians.
like it.
What about Kawhi too? Oh yeah.
Come
So
on.
no,
Oh,
okay.
What else? About
The championship, the parade. Do you have like a specific memory or something
Yeah.
that kind of like sticks with you during those 7 hours on the bus?
You
Yeah.
got your own car. You and your family got your own car, right? In the front.
Yeah, so if people remember, it was like a 9:00 parade, and like asked me 2 hours.
Yeah, it's
right.
chill, yeah.
So I don't know if my wife's here. My wife and our 2-year-old son. Okay, so anyone who has kids, we brought my 2-year-old son with no snacks, no nothing, like in and out, 2 hours.
Wow, you're getting
Right.
judged right now as a bad dad.
Exactly. First kid though,
Poor
you know, I'm like
parenting.
whatever.
Yeah.
So,
Your
like,
kid was a teenager when the
we
parade
didn't even
ended.
get out of the C&E until like 11 a.m. You
Yep.
know, it's like we're like 4 hours in,
Yep.
and my son. So like people are like actually like giving us food from the street. So like he got like a banana at one point.
Yo, we had to sustain you.
Yeah, exactly. And then they were like, handing champagne out. He couldn't do that. We're like, can we get some water for my son? And then I think by the time we even got to wherever it was, City Hall.
Yeah.
Like I just had to send him home. It was like
So
2
this is a
p.m.
parenting
He
emergency for
yeah,
you.
Yeah, missed
Okay,
it.
wow.
Missed his nap. Like it was done. So he didn't get to see the presentation. But I was always remember that. I was like me and my wife and him sitting in the car, and I was like, couldn't get out though. So.
Yeah. You guys were trapped. You know, if you guys actually won in Game 5, if Draymond didn't randomly block Kyle Lowry in the corner,
Yeah, you should have been podcasting instead of playing.
That's a
bro.
great what if. It's like,
If-
what would the city have been like if we won Game 5?
I'm not kidding.
It would have been too crazy.
You guys would not have been able to leave the
Yeah,
arena.
yeah.
Like you guys would have been trapped
That would
inside.
have been.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember seeing the next day when we were in San Francisco, like the drones that flew over and they showed the city. Like that was so cool. Like people,
Oh, yeah.
everyone stayed out till the sun came up. Like that was really cool to hear.
So how does an NBA team celebrate a championship? Like what's the logistics behind that?
The favorite part of the winning the championship, I always tell people is the locker room. So like when you grow up
Yes.
as a kid and like you see the locker room, the goggles, they put the tarp up, and there's just alcohol and there's champagne. Like that to me is like exactly what you imagine. Like you walk into the locker room and there's like 200 bottles of champagne, so you can just pop the champagne and waste a whole bottle. Who cares? And then do it again and again and again, right? Like that is. But there's also like this like sort of sweet musty smell when you walk in
Yeah,
because
yeah,
it's just
yeah.
like anyone probably who worked in a bar. It's like if you just have alcohol sitting for too long. But I think I FaceTimed my sister. I was like in the locker room. I actually didn't want to put the goggles on because it was like it's like taking away from my experience. I wanted all. I wanted all the-
That was raw dogging the championship celebration.
I wasn't gonna say that.
Anyway, so all the other ones are parties. Like we went to Vegas, we hung
Yeah.
with Drake, but like to me, like the quintessential was like in the locker room.
It was so cool because I think because with any basketball team, you're celebrating like the 12 guys, the 15 guys on the court, but it's like a whole organization. And I remember I was like very blessed to be in Golden State for that. And I remember walking into the locker room. There was, as you described, there's like a river of champagne and beer on the ground. Like your shoes are instantly ruined. Like everything is destroyed. And I remember walking in and I saw in the back of the locker room, Wayne Embry was sitting.
Yeah.
And he's like the OG when it comes to like GMs, and he's he's seriously a trailblazer in so many regards, and he's he's definitely got to be the oldest person that works in an organization, but has so much knowledge, and he's sitting in the back there, and I think I've maybe talked to him once or twice before that, but I got down and I was just like, sir, like this got to be one of the coolest things for you even now, because I don't know how many he's celebrated in his like 80 plus years, but it's the whole organization wins,
Yes.
and I'm happy for all of you guys to win that chip, and myself included. You know.
You didn't. Oh yeah, you podcasted.
But yeah, you're right though. The whole city won it, right? Like that's
I smoked a cigar. I tweeted it on Twitter. That's still my most viral tweet. You know?
Yeah, you're a clout chaser, bro.
what were you doing? You were doing the Kobe? Smoke
So
the cigar?
yeah, it was so.
It's Jason Tatum just imitating other people.
Well, that's tampering. The story is I had gone to Cuba in like 2016 or something, and I bought like a as you would in Cuba, you buy yourself like a box of cigars. I don't really smoke, but you gotta buy a box of cigars, and I'm like, I'm only gonna smoke these for very significant moments in my life. And so before going out to San Francisco for Game 6, it was the last thing I packed because I'm like, I'm gonna smoke this because the Raptors are gonna win in Game 6. It's a real thing.
Good story, man.
I put in our work Slack chat. Not a lot of responses on that one.
I don't check work Slack.
That's fair.
So it's crazy because like win the championship, obviously everybody is celebrating, but like you guys got to get back to work like pretty soon, right? Because it's like free agency, all that stuff's happening. Like how long after like the championship and celebration are you guys now? Obviously at the time it was the Kawhi free agency. Like how quickly are you like back to work?
I always tell people the morning of the Game 5 here, we had a big front office meeting on what happens if Kawhi leaves. Like, it was like this sort of weird, we had to prepare for it because I think we were getting so late into June. And so like, okay, if Kawhi leaves, what are we going to do? And so I just remember that being like such a bizarre meeting to have before Game 5 when you're up 3-1 in the finals. But yeah, I think it just sort of points to that, which is you're always sort of preparing for, like I always say, you're evaluating your current team and you're preparing for the next team. And so that was sort of, okay, we need to like really think about what happens. Where do we go? Who are we signing? Who are we trading for? All that stuff. So I guess the answer is it happens concurrently is probably right.
That Kawhi pitch was kind of nuts because helicopters were involved.
I think we had to change locations of the hotel because that's everyone like.
This is the CIA. This is the CIA training right there. You got to switch up the safe house basically. Like,
basically.
No, but seriously, like I guess what's your pitch? I mean, I feel like the pitch almost says itself. Like we just won a championship. Let's stay and let's keep going. What's the pitch?
I think we like gutted like a whole suite at one of the Yorkville hotels, and we decorated it out with all of his stuff and all his favorite things and all the food and whatever. But yeah, the meeting is like, it's like this. Like it's Kawhi, Uncle Dennis. He had another agent. I think it was me, Masai, Larry. And you're just kind of going through everything, sort of like basketball-wise, this is where we see the team. Off the court, I think at the time was really important for him, sort of getting involved in different sort of business ventures. I think the fact that he came up, he was, everyone said the deal was done to LA and he wasn't going to consider it. But I think the fact that he flew up, he was in Toronto for, 2 or 3 days, goes back to LA, and it took him another day or two to decide. So, we gave it our best shot.
Yeah, I'm still mad about that, but whatever.
That's fine.
Personal,
it's fine.
yeah.
One chip was enough. One chip was enough. You guys would have repeated in the bubble for sure.
Yeah. So we're gonna ask a couple more questions and then get to Q&A.
Oh, by the
so
way,
if you guys have any questions, just feel free to start prepping.
Start thinking about questions, but also courtesy of Bobby and the Raptors, we actually have 2 giveaways. We forgot to mention at the very start, but Bobby, actually let them know what the giveaways are because we'll actually do the giveaway portion right here, but just let them know what we got.
So I brought 2 signed jerseys. I have a Grady Dick jersey and also have Emmanuel Quickly. So something cool for you to take home.
There you go.
Cool. You want to do the giveaway now or?
No.
Let's do it later.
Let's wrap up a couple questions.
Let's give them some random questions.
About random questions or?
Hit them with some random
All
stuff.
right. I was gonna ask you about the team today, but I suppose we can pivot off of that. You guys asked about that.
We'll get another hour interview with Bobby and easy.
Yeah. You think we'll ever get him this open again?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
We're boys.
What's some random questions you got? Okay. You're Japanese. What's the best place for Japanese food in the
How do
city?
you open a conversation like that, man?
You said random questions.
I just said we're boys, man. You're boy with your Japanese.
Yo,
What are you doing?
my girl wants to have Japanese food. Where should we go? What do you want, man?
Back to my Trinity Bellwood's day, I think Imanishi's the best,
Okay.
for all Japanese.
Yeah, that's on my list. Yeah,
There's different ramen or whatever sauce, but I think like that to me is my favorite.
I never got an answer out of Darko, but how many espressos does Darko drink in a day?
Man.
He looks like an espresso, like a human espresso.
There's no Darko. Like, I like coffee, but Darko, like, he's got the machine in his office. He's always grinding beans and I'm like, he'll walk on the court. He'll give me one. I'm like, dude, I can't have I think he probably has like 6.
God damn. Is that why he snapped against the Lakers that time? He was like, man, I'm sleep deprived on the road. Coffee in LA sucks. And you guys didn't give me calls? No, I'm kidding. Yeah, you actually opened a cafe in the bubble.
Oh, you must have been so bored there.
Cafe.
So bored.
Is that why you
You
were
go
just
biking? Like, what do you do?
You can only bike. You can go fish. But the funny part in Disney is this was in 2020 when the whole world shut down and they made a basketball bubble for us in Orlando. It's like the fish were just like they just like threw all these bass. So you just like it wasn't even hard to fish. Like there was like there's like you bike around,
So
you
here you
golf
go,
every
Donovan
day.
Mitchell. Yeah.
It was just like the richest country club experience. It was funny.
there's always these stories where like you just run into because like you guys played the Brooklyn Nets and then you guys played the Boston Celtics in the playoffs that year.
And they tiered the hotels based on the
that's
seating.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. So you guys were like the first or second seed in the East that year. So
They got 2 queen beds.
you guys got the king suites. Everyone else got to do the twin deluxe.
Basically.
Yo, the Wizards were staying at a hostel, bro. Holy.
They must have been at home actually.
Anyways, what was the question about?
Yeah, you just opened up a cafe. So what are some of your favorite cafes in Toronto?
Cafes. Where I go on the east side. That's a good one. Oh, you know what's my neighborhood coffee spot is this place called Jet Fuel.
Oh yeah.
It's like a cool spot. It's kind of like a little cycling, like and the owner lives across the street from me, so shout out Jet Fuel. East side. You know a really good pastry spot called Bizou.
Okay.
That's a little French spot on I think down on Girard, East Girard. So those are about 2.
He's
The everyday ones.
Yeah, he's not in Queen West anymore, man. Nobody from Queen West is going to these places.
All right, I mean if you want
This
Queen
is a mature
West,
place. I like it.
Queen West, I do. I drop my son goes to school in Kensington, so I'll drive to OVO, and I usually stop at Sam James. They're a big Raptor supporter, so we do them. And then there's like a really good like breakfast spot with the what is it called? Ideal Coffee on Ossington. That's a pretty good one.
Yeah, that's a good. That's
They
a
got
good show.
they got a good breakfast sandwich. If
Good
you're
show.
looking for.
When you're in the car, do you have Hello and Welcome podcast playing?
I'm old school. I'm just radio.
Oh, radio. Okay, all right. He had
Did
Raptor
you
show
used
playing.
to listen to us?
What's that?
When we were on radio?
Yeah, when you guys were on,
Yeah.
perfect. I'd go. I think I told you I'd pick up my kids in the afternoon. I'd listen.
Yeah.
It was like the 2 to 3.
So you heard all the jokes we made about
Like,
you?
would you ever come up upon like us just making like a Bobby joke or?
I don't know. I only heard about those after the fact.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
That's fair. Someone does report to
See,
you.
I know. I heard about those reports.
It's all good. What's your advice for people who want to work in the NBA? Because I've actually seen this happen in summer league. Last year we were in summer league. Me and Bobby were just walking around. I'm like, I don't know, just trying to bullshit. And like, you'll see like very eager kids come up, 21, 22 years old, with like portfolios or resumes, and they just come up to you and they just ask like, how do I do what you do? And you actually take the time to give the response and actually get back to them. So wanted to give them that
all
space.
of it. We were all that kid, right? So I think you want to be respectful of that, and it's not, no one's, sort of above where you came from. So I think that's important. I think it's hard, right? There's no like, even people here, like there's no like path. Like I was in DC and I wanted to do politics and I got lucky, and so I do think that it's like sounds pretty basic, but like I'm going to school, getting good grades, working hard, all those. The one thing I do say that maybe is different from most is I have this thing where it's like, don't be the squeaky wheel. I think people think when they're coming up like, oh, I won't get what I want unless I ask for it, right? And so I'm like always like asking for it, and like the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and I'm like, I just think those are like the people you don't want to promote or you don't want to like support, And I think there's that part which is like if you keep your head down and you do things. And I tell people like I had an incredible amount of things given to me at an early age, and like I don't think I was the kid who was always like, give me more money, I want a bigger title. So like literally, like if you do the right things, I think people notice, and so it's sort of a little bit against the grain, I think, of what is sort of contemporary, ask for you want all the time.
So Alex should just ask Masai if he can write his biography at media day.
So, yeah. Coincidentally, the last media day I was allowed.
Oh my God! Come on.
Yo, 2 ridiculous questions, and then we'll get to Q&A. You were talking about Vegas Summer League, so you know this too. Like I got banned from the Wynn Casino last year. Summer League's coming up.
I heard about. I did. You told me about this.
Yeah, I couldn't even come to practice.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
That's why he didn't come to practice for sure. He's like, no.
was it.
He's like, man.
So we actually just booked our flights for Summer League, which is coming up. Any way you can help me get unbanned?
You're not the first person I know that's been banned from the Wynn.
So how did they what's the process of getting unbanned?
we'll talk offline on this one. I gotta remember what the crime committed was.
It's a long story.
Well, you remember.
Typically is.
I stepped on grass. That's it. Like
Oh,
it was
yeah,
like
now I
art
remember
installation.
It's like fake grass.
Oh,
guys.
yeah.
It's like turf.
I know, but those are that's like worth like $50 million. I know
No,
which
but there was
one
no
it was.
damage. Yeah. No, they banned me because I was laughing after. Yeah. Like I was having a great time.
The funniest part was I was with him, not in the grass. It was not.
But
that.
why did you cross clearly the line that was like, this is the
Bobby,
road?
you know how these NBA
we
parties
were
go,
at that.
man.
We were at that party.
All these drinks are
Remember?
free. Alex is so excited.
Yeah.
He just had long conversations
Yeah.
with real.
I was just
NBA
trying to get to the
executives.
blackjack table.
He was
man.
gassing up everybody that he saw, and then he was so excited. And we're trying to go to the after
All
party.
right, we'll work on this.
Okay, so you might be able to help me out.
I thought I didn't know someone that got cleared from it, so maybe there's something to it.
I
yeah.
just really want to go to practice.
Wow.
Yeah,
I can't.
last
I think anyone
one.
that wants to go, this is a shout out for Summer League basketball, good food,
Yeah.
parties. Summer League is like really cool. I think you get access to players that you typically wouldn't do. So
Networking,
Yeah.
like
a
all
lot
that
of
stuff,
networking.
right?
Yeah.
But don't be the squeaky wheel. That's actually good advice.
Yeah.
I like that.
Last ridiculous one. This is like deep from like, oh yeah, you don't listen to our show. So we had this debate. Somehow it came up. It was like, who's the most handsome GM? And we got, Holt Renfrew, you're dressed real nice and stuff.
Yeah.
I think the finalist was you and Rob Pelinka. Because you remember Pelinka showed up in that like real nice leather jacket
After trading for
after he traded for
exactly.
Luka.
Yeah,
the
that
leather
was-
jacket. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what do you think? Bobby Webster versus Rob
Well, that's
Pelinka.
not for me. That's for the fans to decide.
All right.
The
Well, let the
poll, they
audience
gotta do a
decide.
poll then or something.
It was like 50-50. It was pretty split.
It wasn't 50-50. It wasn't 50-50.
I pick you. So.
No, you didn't. You
appreciate
picked. You said he looks like Rob Lowe.
Well, I
not
said
Rob
Pelinka because he looks like Rob Lowe. So that's
Yeah,
not a
but
good
look,
look.
come on, man.
Yeah.
Guys,
Just don't listen to our podcast, man. Just don't do it.
guys, if you guys have questions, please bail out the conversation here.
Yeah. This.
And we would love to sort of get your thoughts. And our producer Jerome is going to be walking
Yes.
around, and we'll ask a couple questions. And of course, we have some jerseys to give away as well.
Oh, yeah.
we want to be able to do
Giveaways.
that as well. Yeah.
So hi, Bobby. Also,
up?
thanks for coming out today. Really appreciate it. Also, to the hello and welcome crew here. Big fan.
Thank you. Somebody
Toronto
listens. All right. You-
So over the last few years, we've talked about Raptors leadership and who's going to take the reins, and obviously Scotty stepped into that role. And we have like a base for that, right? With what we've seen with Kyle. So I was just wondering if you could speak a little bit to how the leadership styles differ between what you're seeing with Scotty Barnes as he gets more experience and as he's stepping into that role versus what you saw with Kyle as he was emerging as a leader and what he became.
Yeah, good one. So I think the similarities are sort of that sort of on-court emotion that you see from Scotty, and sort of if you think of Kyle running around on defense and flying around, like Scotty has a bit of that. And so if Scotty's not sort of talking a lot, I think the players and everybody follows him. And I think over the second half of the season, Scotty really locked in on defense. I think you saw even from the sidelines, he was coaching guys up. So I think that, to me, reminds me a bit of Kyle. Scotty's still 23. We traded for, before me, Kyle came here. But I think when I came here, it was like 27 or 20. So just more life experience. Scotty had a kid, so you see him maturing. But I think that sort of like emotional leadership is what I see the same from them. And then, there's difference. So you have, I think we're a young veteran team. Quickly's been in the league 5 years. I think RJ's 6. Scotty's entering his 5th. I think what you're seeing too is you're seeing Jakob take a bit more on court. He's sort of quarterbacking offense and defense, telling guys where they're supposed to be. He's obviously emerged into, one of the better centers in the league. So, it's different. I think Kyle, like I said, Kyle would fight you in the locker room if you weren't doing it. That's probably not it. But I think Scotty's sort of, accountability and holding people to defense is big.
All right, we got one back here. Hey, Bobby, thanks for coming out here, and thanks, hello, and welcome for organizing this. You mentioned you were at the league office for a while as well. You're probably working on, like, the CBA and stuff like that with the lawyers over there. Being there and then coming to, like, the team side of it where you see how you react to the CBA, how you kind of work under it. What was, like, your initial reaction when the latest version of the CBA came out? Where you're like, oh, what the hell's happening here? You have, like, a guy at the league office you're talking to. Were like talks like that you guys having with other teams that just like died down? Like, what was that like?
Yeah, so what he's referencing is the players are a union and they negotiate against the owners, and so there's this collective bargaining agreement that dictates how much money they can make, what 5-star hotel we stay on the road, how many hours a day they can practice. So it's like very typical union issues. But the most recent collective bargaining agreement, what you're seeing sort of with Indy and Oklahoma City in the playoffs is they don't want the aggregation of stars. So there's no sort of big threes. You can't pay 3 or 4 max players. And so what it's doing is sort of dispersing talent. And I think that's sort of what we're trying to do, or that's what you see with a lot of our young guys and the style of play is that you need depth, you need a lot of young players, and you need to like have a group that can play hard. And so I think that's, the intention of it. I think everyone always looks at the NFL, which is anyone can win the championship every year or any year. This year will be the 7th straight year we're a new champions in the NBA. So I think we're seeing parity. The dynasties are harder to build. The dynasties are harder to sustain. The Celtics won the title last year, and they're probably going to have to make some moves just because of the cost to keep that team together. So yeah, I think it's part of the appeal of the NBA now, which is any year you feel like it could be your year.
Hi, Bobby.
What's up?
Hey, not too much. How are you? So everyone's favorite topic, the Kawhi trade. So you're at the 2-yard line.
Yep.
You've got the doctor's reports. You're looking them over. Have you scrutinized what they've asked for and their medical reports to make sure that clears on the other side?
Do you mean when they're looking at DeMar stuff?
Well, so they asked for DeMar, etc.
Yeah.
So as you've requested their medical
Yes.
reports.
They've requested ours as well, correct?
No, but have you vetted the medical report before it got sent out?
Yes.
To make sure nothing could possibly go wrong.
The good part about that is when you live with these guys, like I knew everything DeMar had, right? You know what all your guys have. So yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, you want to make sure what you're sending is. I think there's an obligation in the NBA that you have to sort of be truthful and all these things. But yeah, no. Anytime we get the same permission asked, we have to be thoughtful. It's like, okay, would our guy get cleared, or would something come up in his medical that might prevent them from doing the deal? Exactly, correct. Due diligence.
CIA, man, come on, man. Bobby not gonna leave nothing.
Yeah, I'm tapped out, man.
Well, thanks for setting this up, Bobby. Appreciate you. And what custom line are you taking the players through? What back alleys?
Yeah. Yo, why has this become such a big issue? Yeah.
I don't know. I think as people started talking about it again, someone brought it up on a Rudy, I think, brought it up on a podcast
Thaddeus
or something.
Young.
Yeah.
Wow.
And do you see the shifting talent in the league, the more international base, the more Canadian players? I think we can leverage the city of Toronto a little bit more in some of our recruiting efforts, so it's not Damari Carroll and Hito as our biggest signings.
All due respect, guys. Damari,
Yo, let's vet some of these questions.
Damari had a knee injury, man. I love that signing. Sorry.
I think one, we've always had a history of having either Canadian or Toronto kids, dating back to Corey Joseph. Obviously, we just had Kelly. And I think having someone like RJ Barrett on the team now is just like a built-in ambassador, right? So when new guys come, it's like, RJ, what's the spots, all of that. So I think having that, having those players on the team is important. We even have AJ Lawson, who's from Brampton. So it's like there's like a degree of having in-house that they can show them the city in a way that I could never, or Masai or Darko or whoever. I think that'll be important for us to always have them. And I think people know, like, NBA players love Toronto. I think, like, you see them out and about. I think it's a big city where, we always say if teams stay overnight here, then they like it. And so teams will play the game, and instead of flying out even to like a New York or Chicago, they'll stay in Toronto. So I think there's that. You're always going to have to sort of fight a little bit of the border, which is just the transactions. It's nothing that all of us have to do when you go to the States or come back, which is we have to stand in line too. So it's not like we get, we may get a dedicated lane, but you still have to go talk to the person. People get put in secondary. That's just sort of the nature of it. So
If this is your biggest problem in life, you are very blessed.
exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, we got 3 more that I have marked out, and then we're gonna go to
Then we're gonna
prizes.
give away these jerseys. Come on.
Oh, yeah,
now.
giveaways.
These jerseys look nice.
Hi, all, Bobby. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for letting me the mic, Jerome. I just want to follow up on Will's question that you started off with Inter at Orlando Magic, getting into the NBA League's office in New York, and became the youngest GM of NBA history. Like, looking back, what's the best quality or characteristic as an Inter and to drive you to grow, to promote fast, and to be able to be standing within this industry? So, like, how important the opportunity is as an intern, and what did you do? What are the big moments?
Well, great question. So I think first, the hardest part is just to get in, right? So to get the internship or to get the first job or selling tickets. And so I always tell people, like, you're not going to get your dream job for after the bat. I wasn't even doing basketball. My first job was on the business side. I just happened to sit next to the assistant GM who did all the stuff I like. So just get in anyway. So tickets, sponsorships. If you get to do basketball, great. If you're just rebounding and doing equipment. So once you get in. And I think once you get in, you have to really sort of figure out, it's not sort of strategic, but I always tell people when I was with Orlando, part of the reason why they started to like me is the owner would fly down and he'd want to play pickup every Tuesday and Thursday. Oh. And so he would just like say, Bobby, you're on my team. I was like, oh, if the owner wants me on his team, then I'm good, you know? So there's little things like that.
Teacher's pet.
Yeah. No, guys, Bobby can hoop. Bobby can hoop.
Bobby can actually
Bobby
hoop,
can
yeah.
hoop. Bobby
And then the
can
other
hoop.
one I said people was, I think for you too, is sort of, you have to find someone that believes in you, right? So you need someone like, you know, obviously in my case, Masai was like, hey, you know, I see some talent in Bobby or when I'm at the league or David Stern or whoever it is. And so how do you sort of make yourself attractive to people that they want to sort of help you out? And so it's either your personality, your work ethic, you know, you're willing to sort of go to an extent that other maybe junior people won't go to. So I think that's it. Like, how do you stand out within your role? You're not going to start as an intern and make all these crazy changes or like, you know, make the next trade or the next big move, but you can sort of stand out in that role. I think it's important.
Hi, Bobby. Guys, thanks for putting this on. This is amazing. Branding is a lot, especially with teams, obviously. Just thinking back on how heavy and like substantial We the North was. Do you remember what runner-up slogans?
Oh, that's a great question.
It's like,
No, I don't, give us 7 years. We'll do it.
You know, there was a huge amount over the grammar of it, though, right? A lot of people wanted to be proper grammar, right? And I think that ultimately is sort of like what distinguished it was that it wasn't, right? Sort of and I think that was probably the change, which is it was probably like we are the North. You know, like there's all these. I remember it was going back and forth, and you know, typical sort of you come at it from too much of an analytical standpoint, which is what doesn't sound right. But I think once it flowed and people had that sort of manifesto, it just sort of all hit on all the notes. So,
you guys have to like speed. You guys have to like rush that. If I remember correctly, like because you guys didn't expect to be that good immediately. That year was supposed to be about.
I think it was because with the playoffs coming.
Yeah.
And I think it was like, okay, we're not going to wait until next year to do it.
Right.
Like this is the chance to do it. So yeah, I remember that it was.
Wow. That was a great hit, man. Because like I feel like teams change the slogans every year. You know, like they're always shuffling. But
I know.
We the North is We the North. Like it speaks for itself. Last question.
All right, hi Bobby.
What's
Thank
up,
you
man?
for your talk. My question is with the transfer portal in the NCAA, or more high school athletes getting NIL deals, and even the growth of international leagues or even the CBL, how do you see all of those changes changing the way the Raptors recruit and scout?
I think the biggest difference we've seen, so what he's referencing is years ago you'd be a college athlete, you get your scholarship, you go to college because you played sports, and then you come to the NBA, but you really have no sort of money. So what we're seeing now is kids come to us in the draft that may have a couple $1 million in their bank account, may have a better understanding of branding, or may have a better understanding of what their worth is when they go to do a sponsorship. And so I think you're just getting kids that are much more sophisticated in understanding who they are, their brand, what type of deals they can do. And so now it's on us. Like we just had to hire 2 years ago, or maybe last year, we hired sort of a branding person on the basketball side, which never would have happened before, right? All we were like, okay, come into the Raptors, where are you going to live? Where's your, you're going to get a chef, nutrition, basketball, all of that. And now they're just more interested in that. And so we have to sort of service that in a different way than I think in the past. And the other thing that's happening is the kids in college are making so much money now. What we saw in this year's draft was, you may go back to Texas or you may go back to a Florida because they're offering you $2, $3, $4 million to play college sports. And so it's not as lucrative to come to the NBA anymore. And so we're sort of dealing with that as well.
All right.
So we're going to give away these 2 jerseys here. I guess there's no easy way to do it. Like I do have 2 questions, and then we can just pick from the audience, Jerome?
Sure.
We'll see who throws their hand up.
Okay, so...
these are questions from the Bobby interview that just happened just now.
Is it? Oh, okay. Oh, you got this. Go ahead. Sorry.
I do mine.
I had a different idea, but go ahead.
We'll go with mine.
See if it's good.
Okay, first question is, what kind of sneakers did Kyle give Freddie Gillespie? This is so
what? I don't even know, man.
Crowd. Bobby,
Goddamn.
do you want to?
Hold on. Let's pick this. I saw your eyes get so wide when we said we have jerseys to give away. So.
Yeah.
What?
Balenciaga.
Oh my God! Wait, hold on. You gotta take your pick. Is it quickly is it quickly or Grady? Oh wow,
Okay.
Grady got motion like that.
Take those
Oh,
out.
Bobby.
Yeah.
This is your gift. They're signed, by the way, so don't sell these though. Woo! Oh,
Damn.
Yeah, let's go.
Yo, that's sick.
Yo, wow.
That's sick.
Everybody knew that answer?
Yeah, man. You weren't paying attention to your own interview?
I get nervous. I'm always thinking about the next question. All right, what's the next question? Speaking. Yo, relax, bro. That's a GM right there. That's
I like
a future
that. Yeah,
GM.
get greedy.
Yo. Squeaky wheel, man. Second question. Who is the Spurs executive who kept creeping up on Bobby in Summer League about the Kawhi trade? What was his name?
Oh, there's only real ball knowers will know this one. Man.
Yeah,
there's not as many.
In the back?
First,
All
yeah.
right, 1 sec. I'm going to go to them. And the answer is
Brian Wright.
Damn.
Let's go. Oh wow,
That's sick.
let's look at this, man.
What were you gonna do for trivia?
That's I don't know. We do 2019. I was gonna ask which 4 players had more points on the Toronto Raptors than Steph Curry did in Game 6 of the NBA Finals.
Well, let's see if Bobby can
Yeah,
do
actually,
it.
yeah, Bobby. Let's see this quiz. So, Game 6, 2019, very memorable game in the finals. Steph Curry had 21 points in that game. 4 members of your Toronto Raptors had more points than Steph Curry that day.
I mean, Kyle had to been. He had in
Kyle?
the first half.
That's right, Kyle. 1.
Pascal.
That's right, 26. Both of them had 26.
Ooh, who played well? I think this is a trick question with Kawhi. I don't know.
It's not a trick question. I think.
Okay, Kawhi then.
Yeah, I don't think Kawhi ever scored less than 21. I'm not gonna lie.
Kawhi, he dominated, but he did have. It was 6 where he wasn't. It wasn't like his most dominant.
Yeah.
Of levels of dominance.
I think by that point the team had gotten into such a great rhythm.
Oh,
you guys
and
won
then,
as a team, not just with Kawhi. One last guy though.
It's got to be Fred.
Why are you giving it a what is it? What?
Sorry, I felt left out.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say all of Fred's 3 balls that probably got him.
That's
there.
right.
It was Fred. That's right, man. Damn, we had 4 guys out still stuff.
I think that's a good question. Is like where does the Fred roar? Like after he hit that one, like where does that rank in Raptor lore? That's like a massive.
Well, there's the other one too when he got bloody too, right? That's another game.
That was Sean
too, right?
Livingston, yeah.
Oh yeah,
When
he had to
the
go. He
blood.
went back he had to get stitches. That was it
Yeah.
game 3 or game 4. Yeah.
It looked cool though. I always told him it's like his moment of becoming Harry Potter. You know, like he's got that scar forever. It's gonna remind you of a great moment.
All right, let's wrap up.
That's right. Thank you everybody for
No,
coming through.
no, we're not
Oh,
done
whoa,
yet.
whoa.
I gotta say some actual thank yous.
Oh,
Come
okay,
on.
sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, seriously.
That's why he's the producer as well.
You know, just want to thank everyone from Holt Renfrew, the entire team, Jen, Michael, Jason, Bella, and everyone for helping us out. Jerome, of course, round of applause.
Let's go.
Does so much for us behind the scenes, on camera, and everything. Jeremy is here with us today, and Jeremy and Jen. Celeste helping us with the photography,
That's right,
Jaden
that's right.
on the audio, DJ DeWay over there, and of course Amol, Nick, and all the Nation Network team as well. Thank you so much, and of course, thanks Bobby. Appreciate you. It means a lot to be able to just do this with you. Yeah.
Well, thanks for having me, man. This was fun, and for everyone to come out and support. Like you said, there's other things to do on your Saturday, so I appreciate it.
All right.